Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Joint Venture Marketing Mastery. I'm Andy Anderson, and thank you so much for joining us for this really amazing event. We are talking with some awesome entrepreneurs during this event, and they are sharing their proven systems and strategies to building a profitable business utilizing the power of joint ventures. And in this session, we're going to specifically dive into how to create a seven-figure online business doing what you love without your own product in just a few hours a week. I can't wait to hear about this. And the person that will be sharing this with us is none other than Carl Harvey. Hello, Carl.
Hola.
Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us here across the world today in Bondi Beach.
My absolute pleasure. I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. It is morning for you and evening for me, and it's always fun to be able to connect in this way in our digital world. So I want to tell everyone a little bit about you, Carl, first before we dive in. So Carl is an online entrepreneur who has made millions of dollars in sales over the past few years, both for himself and for his famous clients. He is the founder of the Abundance Book Club, the host of Abundance TV, and the co-founder of The Big Life. And this is with Mind Valley's CEO, Vishen Lakhiani. He is known as the world's #1 personal growth interviewer with 110,000 viewers from all over the world. He is also the creator of the coaching programs Webinar Wealth and How to Make Millions with Your Words, which actually guides you step by step to create abundance online by sharing your passions with the world. So, Carl, could you start us off, since this whole event is all about joint venture marketing, right? Creating these joint venture partnerships to help us build our businesses. Could you start us off by sharing a story of one of your most successful joint ventures?
Yes, I would love to. Actually, the man who introduced us or connected us, Dr. Joe Vitale, star of The Secret, he was the first joint venture partner that I had that sort of took me to the next level. So to set the scene, this was probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was very, very depressed. I was in a very dark space. I was doing work that I hated. I was working in sales jobs. Basically, my soul was out of alignment. So even though I was doing well on paper, I was in a very sort of dark, miserable, depressed state. And things got really, really, really bad. And luckily, I was given a copy of The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I read the book in a day. And the next day, I walked into my boss at the time and said, I'm quitting, I'm leaving. And he's like, well, what do you mean? You're crazy. You're doing so well. What are you going to do? And I held up the copy of The 4-Hour Workweek. I still have it over here. It's literally this one copy here. I keep it with me because it reminds me. And I pointed at this book and said, I'm going to go do one of these internet businesses. Now, needless to say, he thought I was an absolute fool and warned me against it. But they were saying in this book that sold me on the idea that you can get paid for doing what you love and you can create a lifestyle with incredible freedom and be able to do it from anywhere in the world. And these are all things that at a deep level of values spoke to me. So like many people starting out, I had really no idea where to begin. So I tried loads of different things. And after a couple of years, and this is a point I really want to emphasize, you got to stick with it. Like, you got to persevere and keep playing with it and understand that you're learning a new skill. And that's what I did, because I was so sold on the vision that for me, there weren't a possibility of failure because I didn't want to go back. So I started by writing some articles and sort of like blogs, but I would write these articles and get traffic from Google, and I was doing okay. I started to make a little bit of money, which was thrilling for me at the time. But then I realized I wanted to go up to the next level. And by chance, Dr. Joe Vitale, star of The Secret, one of my great mentors, I'd studied all of his work, he sent out an email promoting something that he was selling. Now, by that point, I had about 1,000, 2,000 people on my email list, which not a huge amount, but it was enough for me to have something to go back to him. So I just wrote to Dr. Joe, and here's my best advice for getting JV partners. Number 1, be cool. Number 2, give value. Offer something first. Nowadays, I get a lot of people writing to me saying, can you promote this? Can you do this, do that? But without any giving first. So basically, I went to Dr. Joe. I said, first of all, I bought your product that you're selling. Number 1. Number 2, I think it's awesome. Number 3, I'd love to share it with my audience. Would that be cool? So naturally, he said, yeah, that would be awesome. I shared it with my audience. I created a little campaign to drive some sales up, which Mr. Vitale noticed. And then he wrote back to me, and then I did Something which I teach a lot of my abundance students, you ask for something. Once you've given value, you ask. And one of my great mentors told me that you can ask absolutely anyone for absolutely anything as long as you make it easy for them to say no. Basically, don't be needy. Don't be like, I need you to do this for me. Be cool. Be cool. I wrote to him and just said, look, man, I've promoted this, helped me so much. You know, I would absolutely love a chance to work with you. And, you know, by sweet synchronicity, as these things tend to happen, he was like, well, actually, today, the thing I was supposed to be promoting fell through. I have a space. Will you get me some copy over? Long story short, I created this email to promote a product that it was my first product. It was a collection of creative visualization audios, which were a good fit for Joe's audience because he teaches law of attraction, abundance, that sort of stuff. And he sent it out to his list. Now, again, to re-emphasize like the key points. Number one, I was a genuine fan of Joe's. And so when I wrote to him, I'm quoting things that he said in the movie The Secret or in his other books. I'm demonstrating that I know my stuff. Secondly, I did some work ahead of asking for anything and made the man some cash money, got him some new clients. And then third, real cool, just said, look, man, I'd love a chance to do something with you. He said yes. I ended up generating about, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 leads from Dr. Joe sending one email, which basically meant my business went 300-400% overnight in terms of size and scale. Also, having someone of his stature promote me, I then seized that by reaching out to other people in The Secret saying, oh, your colleague, Dr. Joe Vitale's working with me. And I started reaching out and started getting more and more clients. And now, you know, I'm very blessed. Everyone that was in The Secret has been my client now for some years, and I get to work with the people who've helped me the most. But it really is that sort of magical 3-step formula. Number one, genuinely be interested and connect with someone on a human level. Number two, give before you ask. The law of giving, Deepak Chopra teaches, the more you give, the more you receive. And then third, you know, when there is an opportunity, go for it. Make sure that you are there to seize it. And yeah, that really started me off. And then Joe's introduced me to some incredible people over the years, including your fine self. And it all flows from there.
Oh, that's so true. And I love that the theme is Joe Vitale right now, because he tends to be the most talked about person that me and Ike, my partner Ike, we talk about on interviews with people. He just comes up all over the place. He is, and that is probably truly exactly what you're talking about. He is such a giving, generous person, and you feel it in him, and you feel it come through his emails and in interacting with him. And he is just amazing. And I love him. I just love Joe Vitale. And I talk about him all the time on these. He's always coming up and people are talking about him, and man.
Yeah, he's an absolute boss. Also, number one, he is so loving and so giving that he looks after people. Secondly, what I've learned from him, I mean, he's a brilliant copywriter and marketer. So study his books. He's got one called Hypnotic Marketing. I mean, all of his books you're going to learn something from. But the thing with Joe as well, he unashamedly shares what he has with the world. Like, that man don't pull any punches. If he's got this new audio or a new course, he's going to let you know about it. Frequently in this, I mean, not just in this world, in any kind of world, when people want to be an entrepreneur or start something new, we often have a lot of limiting beliefs and doubts about what we're doing, and we project them. So we're not certain, we're not clear. Whereas Joe deeply believes in this stuff. And what I learned from him is he can, without being pushy, without being overwhelming, say, I've got the best thing ever and I really want you to get it and there's an awesome deal on it. Mm-hmm. And he's quite cool making that offer, which again, I've learned from him. He also provides massive value up front. Like, all of his funnels, as an example, you can get a free book, or there'll be a free video series, or there's going to be a free download. I've learned a lot from that. Like, you give before you ask. Like, as this is going live, I'm doing a JV promo with Mind Movies, who are like the number 2 company in this entire space behind Mind Valley. We've already done a couple of grand in sales in the first couple of hours because I gave away a $1,500 course. Now, that's because I know Nat and Glenn at Mind Movies who run it, and I wanted to do something very special for them. But I'm putting my best foot forward by giving tremendous value, a sold out course, which really sold out $1,500. Now, the reason I'm doing that, because I know a lot of people will go, well, you're giving away your best stuff. Law of giving. I genuinely believe that when you act like this, and you put your best foot forward and you really do try and transform your audience however you want to help them, then it's going to come back to you. So in that example, we give away this course and then there's a 5-minute video of me here saying, hey, welcome my movies. By the way, I got this visualization course, which is a very good fit to what my movies do. It's about visualization. So it's the message market match, as Dan Kennedy and others teach. Make that offer, and then, you know, enough people put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll do that as well. So it's the give massive value before you ask for anything in return. And that has served me and many of my clients very, very well.
I love it. Thank you so much. Now, I know that one of the big parts of your business models over the years has been interviews, webinars and interviews. So could you talk a little bit about that as a business model? So how do you use interviews and webinars to not only provide value for the people listening, but at the same time, obviously sell product, make money, have a great quality of life, all of those kinds of things? Can you wrap that all together?
I'll wrap for you, Andy, for sure. All right. So again, it goes back to the law of giving. I realized, and I've got Vision from Mindvalley to thank for this a lot as well. Basically, I'd built a 6-figure online business. This was about 3 and a bit years ago. I was living my dream life on Bondi Beach. I had the 4-hour work week. I mean, even less. I only had to work an hour or two. So naturally, I thought I'd made it. And then after 2 months of sitting on the beach all day, I had like this spiritual awakening, which was, you're not just here to sit on the beach. You need to do something bigger. So it's like, I was quite getting used to the idea of the mojitos on the beach every morning and doing all that. Anyway, so I was like, who is my hero? Who do I admire the most? And it was Vision from Mindvalley. I loved who he was working with. I thought that they were the #1 company in terms of sharing stuff online. So I was like, I'm going to go and live in Kuala Lumpur. So I got on the phone with Vision. And he said, if you come and write copy for me, if you be the head copywriter at Mindvalley for a couple of years, I'll help you with your business. Now, you know, he's doing 20, 30 million a year. He's the king of this industry. So I said to my new girlfriend at the time, we were only 3 months in, and, you know, we're living on the beach. We got the dream. It's like, we need to go and live in Kuala Lumpur. She's like, where's that? It's like, I don't know. It's in Asia somewhere. So we YouTubed Kuala Lumpur, watched a video, 5-minute video. It's like, yeah, that's good. And we jumped on a plane. Now, the reason I'm sharing that with you all is because sometimes your intuition will guide you places that logically seem crazy. And all my friends and family were like, you crazy. What are you doing? Why are you going to work there for next to no money when you're already successful? But my intuition was like, I need to go and learn. Anyway, I get to Mindvalley. Day 1, I'm promoted to head copywriter. I was supposed to be the second in command, but then day 1, I got promoted. And then I started working my ass off. I started hustling and creating massive value, recurring theme. Now, another thing I deeply believe in is self-promotion. This is something I've learned from Dan Kennedy and others. Most people, I think, are too fearful to take responsibility for the cool stuff they're doing. Not something that I suffer from. So I would create a new sales page and then go right to Vision and say, look at all this money I got you. Look at all these new clients. Whereas everyone else was a bit scared of him because of the man, the aura, powerful man. Anyway, I get in his ear and telling him this, and an opportunity then comes up. We having lunch together one day, and he says, you know what, like have you ever thought of doing these interviews and doing this sort of thing? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. And at that time, I was a bit pissed off with all of the launches going on in personal growth that weren't actually providing any value. It was sort of like, and I got mad love for Jeff Walker and all of the product launch formula stuff, but it was almost as if it was always a thinly veiled sales pitch. Now, I'm a lifelong, the last 10 years student of personal growth. I feel this is my mission, my dharma, and I want to share it. I don't just want to share it with people who give me cash money. I want to share it. So I said to Vision, well, how about this? What if we actually create something that is pure value every week? That if we're just giving, and then at the end, you know, I can make an offer. So that's what we did. And we created a business called The Big Life. Now, the whole philosophy behind it is exactly that. It's not a 60-minute pre-sales pitch. It's 60 minutes of me getting the absolute best that I possibly can out of people like Jack Canfield and John Assaraf and Dr. Paul Sheely and Marie Diamond, Lisa Nichols, these incredible teachers. Now, what they told me over and over is that they were used to going into these things where people would ask the same questions again and again. they'd be a bit, you know, they'd show up, they can do it with their eyes closed. And what I was doing was going for 20 hours at least for each show and coming up with obscure quotes and ideas and mapping out this incredibly valuable training and giving it for free. And then very quickly, my subscribers and fans got to know that, you know, there was no bullshit. Like when I say it's an hour or 90 minutes of free training and it's the best training you can get, they knew that I was telling the truth. Now, my deepest belief is that if you've got the right audience watching you and you help them, whether you're a coach or a trainer or an expert of some kind, or whether you just literally are saying, I've got a passion for this industry and here's a product or someone who teaches it that I like. If you do that from a place of giving and you genuinely add your unique spin to it, let your personality come through and you really want to share, well, then at the end, after 60, 90 minutes, you say, if you enjoyed this, there's a very good chance you'll like this too. And then I would always negotiate special deals or special bonuses. And because that's, you know, I'm from Essex. Like we love to get a deal at Essex in England, like we're known for it. So I would always do that. But all of my preparation and attention was on the giving, not the selling. In summary, if you get the giving part right, if you become known, and this, you know, takes time and repetition, but if you become known as someone who really looks after your audience, wants to share, genuinely helps them, then at the end, when you say, here's a way to give me money, some of them are going to say yes, but they're going to be the best possible people because you're not tricking them into buying with, you know, these 60-minute sales presentations that promise the world don't actually give you any value. You actually help them. Now, do some people, you help them and then they don't give you cash money? Yeah, of course. But the law of karma says that you're going to benefit from that. The more you give, the more you receive. It's all energy. So if you can get that, become more giving, genuinely share your passion for whatever topic it is and help people and trust that if you do that at the end and then you ask for money, some people are going to give you cash and it's cool. And some of them won't, but they wouldn't anyway. So it's better to be someone who has genuinely served than someone who's trying to find the next trick to make cash, which is something that I see a lot in this industry when people come in, like, you know, trying the sort of sneaky-ish sales stuff rather than actually helping people.
Mm-hmm. And that, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's something that's been on my mind throughout this conference. And it's just interesting. I feel like we're in a very interesting time in like the online marketing business space and in the like the personal development space. And it's just interesting to see where it's going. And one of the things that actually comes up frequently when I talk to people about the joint venture marketing world is how things are becoming more and more oversaturated, right? There's more people reading Tim Ferriss's book, right? There's more people ready to take it on and live this amazing life, which I myself live and absolutely love and can't imagine not being, you know, an entrepreneur and living this, you know, time freedom life.
You wouldn't have that tan, would you?
I know, right? There it is. Yeah, we live at the beach and we do a lot of sea kayaking and hiking and biking and all that. And yeah, it's an amazing life. But so I guess the question that's just coming up for me right now is how do we as entrepreneurs, and how do like the entrepreneurs listening right now, there are so many more people doing this kind of stuff, even like events like you do and I do, and all launches, right? You talk about Jeff Walker, product launch formula, all this kind of stuff. So more and more people are doing it. So what do we do to stand out? Like how do we maintain our uniqueness and continue to give value and, you know, make our living at the same time?
Yeah, great question. First and foremost, metaphysics. What you focus on expands. If you're focused on there's so much competition, on how am I going to stand out, then you will manifest struggles that tie into that. And I'm not saying that lightly. For years, especially when I first got into this industry, like I was 26, 27, and I came from a past of being suicidally depressed and low and hating on myself. So the idea of me getting paid for helping people make money and be happier was absolutely ludicrous. So it's not to discount any struggles or self-doubts that you might be going through, but understand that if you're focused on that, that's what you're going to see. So number one is to focus on what you want instead, which in this case might be, I want to have this big impact. I want to have a 6 or 7 figure business. I want to feel this way. And you get very, very clear on your vision. Secondly, and this is like a spiritual principle from Deepak Chopra's 7 spiritual laws of success. We all have unique gifts and talents. All of us. They're the things that we love to do that make us light up, that don't feel like work. They put us in flow, which means we lose track of time. These are the things that genuinely don't feel like work. And for you, that might be doing something like this, talking, it might be reading, coaching, helping people, listening. It could be anything, but they're the things that you do so well that you don't even think they're talents, because it's like, this don't feel like work. This is easy. Can't everyone do this? Can't everyone be the most beautiful, empathetic listener and guide people? Well, no. So a big part of it is learning to discover your strengths and then fearlessly sharing them with the world. Aside from that, all you've got to do, and one of the things I guide people through for an entire module of both of my coaching programs, is understand your ideal customer. Doesn't mean understand everyone who buys stuff in this niche that you want to get in. Who do you want to work with? Who is the ideal? Like, is it men? Is it women? What sort of age? What sort of challenges do they have? What keeps them awake at night? What is their ideal dream? What stops them? What have they already tried? When you start thinking like this, so you're not thinking about you and your ego and how do I be successful? How do I stand out? You're looking at your audience. How do I help them? How do I serve? And then shockingly, you do stuff that helps them. That's how you stand out. Stuart Wilde, another great metaphysical author and a great teacher of all things abundance and money, says that, and he wrote this 30 years ago, but he says that there is such a lack of companies and entrepreneurs who genuinely care about you, who genuinely will do absolutely anything for you, that when you do that, it's so rare that word will spread, that people will come back to you again and again and again. So if you understand that, you're not putting your focus on what could go wrong and what you're worried about, but you realize at a deep, fundamental level that if you genuinely help people and if you really look after them and you don't just take their money once and then you gone, but the taking of the money is the start of the relationship, and then you over deliver and you care and you help them and you go way beyond whatever you promise. When you do that and you make an offer again in the future, they're going to say yes. And the thing that will differentiate you, the thing that differentiates me from someone like Mind Valley or My Movie or any of these beautiful, brilliant people in this niche, is my personality. And I know that crazy, and it took a long time for me to realize that, but when I'm just me and I'm enjoying life and I'm feeling uplifted, I've learned through Deepak and many others that there are going to be people who are a vibrational match to that. Now, if I'm pretending to be someone I'm not, and I'm trying to be the Harvey that I think will impress your audience, then there's going to be a disconnect and people are going to feel that. So really, this is why I think building a business, especially a business that's something you love, is a spiritual exercise, because really it's about figuring out who you are, giving of yourself freely without fear of what might happen, and understanding that fundamentally, most businesses, I mean, I've just moved into this beautiful house in Bondi in Sydney. It took us, I think it was 34 phone calls to get the internet set up and 6 home visits. Now, this is the most expensive internet you can get. I'm paying them like $200-300 a month. And they couldn't give a flying F about me, about the fact that I got 36 calls. I'm saying to them, I've got an internet business. I need the internet. They don't care. Now, this is, if you in your own life look at people you deal with, the companies, I mean, how many of them do you really feel like they've got me? But when you set up a business and your client emails you and you call them back, or you've sold them one thing and they're having troubles and you give them something else for free, or you send them, like we do, champagne or flowers or chocolates in the post with a little note saying, thank you, we're thinking of you. When you call out your customers, like we have Facebook inner circle groups where I'll celebrate their successes and make them feel good. When you do all of these things, it adds up. So there's no like quick fix, but ultimately, if you give him massive value, if you genuinely helping people, and if you let your personality come through, you're going to attract the people you need. And I forget who writes it, but there's that beautiful little book called 1,000 True Fans, which makes it sells the premise that you only need 1,000 people on the planet out of 6-7 billion who really get you, and you can have a 6-7 figure business just from that.
Exactly.
And when you do that, you realize, oh, I've got my 1,000 fans. Now it's easy to step up to the next level. So one final bit in The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, he says there's no such thing as competition, only collaboration. If you believe in competition, you also believe in scarcity and lack, and that's what you're going to be focused on. So instead, open to the possibility that there is infinite abundance in this world, and there are infinite amount of people that are going to be drawn to you doing what you do, and all you need to do is be absolutely yourself, genuinely try and help and serve people, ask them for money, and then make sure you over deliver. And when you do that, that uniqueness of caring for people, of actually going the extra mile, it's so rare that your biggest problem will be being overbooked as opposed to having any sort of scarcity. You feel that? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for addressing that. I think that's just something that just keeps coming up. I keep hearing people talking about it. Just seems to be in the air, and this fear around the competition, and no joint ventures because you're going to take all my clients kind of feel. And this is a good thing to tap into, right? Like, and really get it, like exactly what you said, like be yourself. Like, I'm really quirky, weird, goofy. I like to be that way, and clearly you're very serious.
I'm a very serious man. But let me touch on that as well, just to really hammer this home. If you believe that the people who are buying, for example, Mind Valley stuff, they're not going to be buying from my movies and John Assaraf and Dr. Paul Shealy and Learning Strategies and all these other places. No, they love personal growth. They're going to be buying all sorts. So the idea that you're trying to say, no, you're just for me, I won't share anything, that's an egoic stance, and it's a fearful one. And it's silly because obviously if you look at any sort of statistics about in this industry, personal growth, they don't, or golf or any kind of industry where people get irrationally passionate. So it could be like the dog training, like people with dogs. I've got a little Yeezy down here somewhere. Like, I've only had a dog for a year. Now I know, like, nothing is too expensive for my little Yeezy. I will buy all manner of stuff. So if someone, it was selling something in this niche and was like, well, you can only buy from me, it would be silly. It's like, no, you think about your customer. So in online marketing, for example, you think people only buy from Frank Kern? No, like, people who buy from Frank are more likely to buy from Jeff Walker and others, and so on, because they're passionate. So if you understand that your job, whether you're creating your own products, whether you're acting as a bridge between affiliate type people, or you do interviews where you're sharing the content that other people have, if you understand that your audience wants the best from all people, then you give them that. There's no sense of scarcity whatsoever. And you'll benefit by being the person who bridges that gap for them, because you're adding value. And a fundamental rule of abundance is the more value you provide, the more abundance you're going to create in return. So just give. And my man, Dr. Joe Vitale, taught me this. You can't outgive the universe. You can try. Try and be that person that gives more than you get back. Right. Do the interviews, give the extra service. When someone buys from you, give them something else. Call them up. Show them so much love. Send them something in the post. Ask them what else you can help them with. See if you can outgive the universe, and you'll find it's impossible. And it's also a beautiful thing, because the more you give, the happier you are, because you're like, holy shit, I can share with people and they're happier and I get more back.
Absolutely. There it is. You can't outgive the universe. There it is. I love it. Joe Vitale, once again, he's probably, maybe he's in Texas right now. I'm not sure if he's at home right now, but he's probably feeling our conversation right now, and all the major props that we continue to pour out to him.
Major props. And in fact, let me do a little plug for him. This is a brilliant book, The Attractor Factor.
Yep.
5 Steps to Manifesting. If you haven't read this, go get yourself a copy. It's super boss.
Indeed. So just shifting gears for a few minutes, you talk about something called the 80-20 rule in your business. What is the 80-20 rule?
Great question. 80-20 principle, also known as Paretos Law, after Wilfred Pareto, who discovered it. In fact, first time I heard about it was in this book. There it comes again. In short, the premise is that 80% of your results in life come from 20% of the sources, which means that 20% of the things that you do or can do are going to get 80% of the results. So if you want a life with more freedom, where you get better results for less effort. And basically you work less hard and enjoy all the benefits of abundance and success. You have to apply the 80-20 rule. So there's a couple of major ways that I use it in my business and with my clients. The first is 80-20 happiness and sadness. So what you do, you take a pen and paper and you write down everything that you think makes you happy. And then on another page, everything you think makes you sad. So it might be makes me happy. It could be anything from, getting a new car down to waking up in the morning, going to the gym, having a massage, reading a book, having a nice cup of coffee, working hard for the day, doing something nice for someone. And you basically write all of the possible things down. And then on the other page, it's all the things that cause you stress. So it might be this one person that keeps coming up, or it might be if you stay up too late, you don't feel good the next day. Anyway, it's really exciting because you're going deep into yourself. But then you look at all the answers you've written down, you get a highlighter, and you just circle 20% of the answers, the top 20%. Like, so in the example of the things that make me happy, it's like, well, what are the 20, say you write down 10 things. What are the 2 things that make me the super happiest? Boom, boom. And that's your blueprint. You're going to know that if you want to be happier, which is really what we all want, if you focus on these 2 or 3 things, that's going to be the 80-20, which means you're going to get disproportionate results with minimal effort. Then you apply this to your business as well. So you take another sheet of paper, you say, well, what things bring me money in the business? Or what things do I do? And it might be, well, I do interviews, I build web pages, I do outsourcing of this, I do this, do that, do that. And then you look at the 20% of things that get 80% of the results. So in my business, my 80-20 is interviews, writing copy, hosting webinars. I know that anything aside from that, I'm just making excuses to be busy. So sometimes I want to do other stuff, but I know those are the things that when I do them, I'm gonna make the sales, I'm going to get the business success. And also it frees up a tremendous amount of time and energy because I'm not doing a million things trying to keep busy. I'm realizing that most of this stuff can either be just ignored, it can be outsourced, given to someone else who I can pay less for it, or it's not urgent enough to warrant my time. So that's why I'm only 33. I've got incredible freedom where I have one thing a day that I do for my business, 80-20. Each one of those things is going to nudge me forward in a big way. But whereas before, when I started out, I thought the aim of the game was to be busy. I've got to work 18 hours a day, and it's simply not true. When you apply the 80-20 rule to everything, to your happiness, to work, to how you go out and get clients, there's a tremendous elegance and simplicity and beauty to it, which is you get beautiful results in less time with less effort. Now, if you want to put that extra time back into work, you can. But I know for a lot of you, one of the reasons you're attracted to a business like this is the freedom, time to spend with your family, or to take that trip that you've been putting off, or to understand that you can go away for a month and the money still won't come in when you set it up right. All through being smart and looking, what are the 20% of things that I'm doing that cause 80% of the results? And if you focus relentlessly on them, not only do you get more success, but you're going to be so much happier, more chilled, and have all that freedom as well, which really is one of the major selling points for having a business like this. Not having to work 18 hours a day. And you can get a tan like Andy, you can get out in the sun. It's been winter here, that's why I still got the English tan, but I'm going to be working on that. That's my aim.
There it is. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about that. So another thing that comes to mind is emails. So you mentioned that that's one of the things you spend your time on that's most effective. So can you give everyone some tools, strategies, tips on how to write good email copy?
Yes. Right. So I've just done a 5-week course on this, which is about 18 hours long. So I'm going to have to chunk it down slightly because even in 18 hours, I didn't quite say everything that I wanted to. So, but for the sake of brevity, let me see. Number 1, write how you actually speak. So many people write these sort of salesy, weird emails that don't feel like they're coming from a human being. I think one of the reasons why I've done so well on emails, because I write like I'm writing to my mate. It'll be like, hey, Andy, what's up? Look, lovely tan today. By the way, here's something cool I found. Click here. Very gentle, colloquial, open. but then that's my personality. So if you're, for example, an accountant or a lawyer, you might have to phrase it slightly differently, but you want to get your personality across. Second thing is subject line of the email is incredibly important, because that's what's opened or not. So you want to think of subject lines that are going to create curiosity or speak to your ideal prospect. That's why it's so important to know who you're speaking to know what sort of things are going to interest them. From there, the purpose of the email is to get the click. The purpose of the email is to get the click. It's not to sell. It's not to do anything else. It's to get the click. Now, it might be that you're sending people to an interview like this. It might be that you're sending them to a sales video or a free bit of content they can download, or an article that you wrote. The tendency is for people basically to get a bit insecure and to write these emails this long because they're like, I've got to get everything across. But instead, it's a little bit like seduction. You've got to create curiosity, and you've got to be a little bit, hold something back to get that energy exchange, to get people drawn to you. If you give them absolutely everything in advance in the email, you're going to switch them off. It's going to be too long or weird. Aside from that, I'd say study the greats. Depending on what industry you're in, find the people who in your industry or companies that write emails that you open, that you look forward to reading and that you act on, especially those ones that cause you to click on the thing, whether watch a sales video or read a sales page or whatever, and pull your credit card out and type it out and check it all and do all of that. What makes you do that? Because we all have got a million things to do. But that one thing that gets you so good that you have to stop now and you have to do all the fiddly typing and go through all of that, that's going to be a real good clue as to how you like to be influenced and sold to. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with influencing people. I would say don't ever pressure people into doing anything ever. I don't think you can anyway. Like, be cool at all times. But if something has got you, there's a good chance that you can use that. So create a swipe file it's called in copywriting, which is basically all of the emails that you see that get you. Create a little folder where they're there. And then when you go to write an email, you're going to have inspiration. I mean, or just take my course and I've written all these emails for you and you can just copy paste. But if you starting from the beginning, just build a swipe file, a library of really good emails that get you, and then start playing. And above all, write every day. Like, the reason I went from never having written a single thing to being the head copywriter of the #1 company in the world in this industry within about 3 and a bit years is because I studied the greats and I worked hard at it. I was committed because it got my soul. It was like, hold on, if I can write words that sell, I never have to be in an office ever again. That was my biggest thing. Didn't want to be in an office, didn't want to wear a suit and tie. Wanted to put me Louis Vuitton pajamas on every day. And so I was like, if I figure this out, like, I'm never going to have to worry about that again. So I was staying up till 3 in the morning after a hard day at work, learning, and I was trying different stuff and I was practicing. And Dan Kennedy and many others say you write out the sales letters and the emails by hand to burn them in your subconscious. I did all that again and again because I had what Napoleon Hill calls a burning desire. And it was away from motivation. It was, I need to get away from this real job, this matrix, this 9-to-5 slavery, which is killing my soul. Because you do have to be committed. Disclaimer, shockingly, you can't just be crap and be like, well, I don't like having real jobs, so I'm going to have one of these internet businesses. You've got to be great. You've got to be extraordinary. Now, as I've mentioned, a lot of that's just to do with giving value and being yourself. But ultimately, with copywriting, for example, that's a skill. You're going to have to learn it and practice it and play with it. And you're probably not going to get it right the very first time. And that's cool. There is no failure, only feedback. Or as Napoleon Hill says, within every setback is the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Which means that if you send an email and it doesn't work, either you choose to be all offended, like, oh, shame, I'm terrible, I'm going back to work in an office. Or you say, okay, what can I learn? Was the subject line good? Mm-hmm. Did I waffle too much? Is there enough curiosity? Did I speak the email out loud? Does it sound like me, or does it sound like I'm trying to be proper and posh? And then you learn and you try something new. And if you keep doing that, you're going to be fine. Learn from the best learn from your mistakes, keep going, and do it with a pure heart, like genuinely try and help people, and you'll be set.
And don't forget, be cool.
And PS lines. Cool. PS lines are king as well.
Oh,
so I'll give you like one money magnet. PS. And I always use the curiosity for the PS. So it's like an open loop. Remember the TV show Lost? Like every, or 24, it could be the most terrible episode for an hour. I'm sitting there going, I ain't never watching this shit again. And then the last 30 seconds, there'll be a cliffhanger. And it's like, I'll do one more. I'm going to do one more. And then they get you. So in the PS lines, like PS, if you ever dreamed of big goal, but you've always struggled with massive problem, make sure you stay tuned till the 23-minute mark, because you're going to learn a simple yet counterintuitive 3-step formula to help you reach your goal. Click here. Now that's just, you know, you look at something you're teaching. So in that case, it might be, I'll teach 3 steps to, I don't know, building a good email. It's like, and then you hint at that in the PS. So you don't say these are the 3 steps. You say the third of these 3 steps is going to startle you. Click here. So you're trying to create that little Lost vibe where it's like, come in next week. It's like, well, I've got to watch that. So, and then one final point of this, which just came up, it's edutainment. I think Joe taught me this, which is education, but you've got entertain as well. There's a reason why the most highly paid people on the planet are entertainers, like rock stars, rappers, sports people. They entertain. And also why teachers who educate are one of the lowest paid professions. We can't just educate. You know, the fact that people are glued to their phones on Instagram and Twitter all day and all of that, we want entertaining. If you understand that, and ads doesn't mean you have to be like a showman. And where I am now, 7 years in, you know, I've moved up to this. Basically, don't be boring. Like, let your personality come across and understand that even if you're selling like financial services type stuff, there's a million people selling financial services. But if you can add your own unique spin, then people are going to feel that. So, you know, allow yourself to be a bit different, to allow your passion to come through, and you will be fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love that. And that's actually a great segue. So we are running low on time, but I want to remind everybody there's a button below this video or this audio, depending on if you're watching it or listening to it right now. And it leads over to a page on Carl's site that has a special offer. So could you share a little bit about that? And I know we've kind of talked a lot about the email marketing end of things here at the end, which I think your program talks a lot about as well.
Yes. So first, disclaimer, I did a course, a 5-week program, which I mentioned earlier, called How to Make Millions with Your Words. And it's about 18 hours over 5 modules where I go deep into the exact mindset strategies, all the way down to the things that you write and why you write them to create 6- and 7-figure businesses from purely email. Now, I only created this course after I had been the head copywriter at Mind Valley for 2 years, doing $20-odd million a year in sales. Only after I had my own 7-figure email business, and only after I'd spent years dedicating myself to it. So, you know, like, I think in this industry, there is a tendency for people that have never made a penny to say, oh, here's a course that shows you how to do this. And I first of all just want to emphasize that first, I ain't like that. And secondly, this is only when I got to the point where I'm like, I feel like a boss. Now I feel ready to teach it. And second point I want to mention is that this sold out at $1,500 a person. Sold out. And it's not for sale. Now, Andy wrote to me yesterday saying, well, the maximum I want to do a promotion for is $297. And I was like, Andy, I don't do anything for that price. However, you know, she tanned and she charming. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to take this course with me, it's completely guaranteed, but you can actually have the entire 5-week course, which sold out at $1,500 for just $297. And the reason I'm doing that, as I'm sure you'll get a sense, is that I really want to serve and to help. And clearly it's not about the profit. Otherwise I wouldn't sell my most expensive courses for this much. With that said, with that clarification, let me explain what it does and who this is for. If you want to have any kind of business that relies on email, this is for you. If you want to differentiate yourself, if you want to learn how to provide value, how to educate and entertain at the same time, then this is for you. You're going to love it. And best of all, if you don't want to have to write emails from scratch, if you want to literally fill in the blanks, this whole course is packed filled with fill in the blanks, swipe files and templates of mine and my clients' best ever performing emails. Now, what this means to you is not only do you go deep into understanding who your ideal prospect is, what keeps them awake at night, what their drivers are going to be, what the words and triggers that are going to get them engaged and get them interacting with you. But we actually go through deep over the 5 weeks into the different types of emails that you can do. A value email, the emails that literally are there just to share and give value, all the way up to sales emails, to survey emails, to if you've got a video or a presentation. How do you get people to sign up for a webinar? How do you sell something in an email? And so much more. We do this over 5 weeks, and literally, again, you get all the fill in the blanks emails. So you build, by the end of the 5-week course, a 21 email funnel. And it really don't take that much work, because I've done all of it for you. You just fill in the blanks. What this means is that you will have a 3-week, if you send an email a day, you'll have a 3-week funnel that anyone who signs up, whether, you know, on a Facebook ad or from your Facebook page or any other way that you get people into your world, you know, for 3 weeks, they're going to be getting the most valuable, powerful, transformational content that you possibly can. It's going to position you as a boss. It's going to help you to do all the things we're talking about, stand out, get your personality across, be unique, provide massive value, and yeah, get that cash money as well. It's a brilliant program. I'm really very proud of it. As I said, it sold out $1,500 a person. It got incredible feedback from everyone who took part. And, you know, because again, Andy is very tanned and she asked me for a favor, you can have the whole course for $297. And yeah, if you don't love it, you just let me know and we'll send you your $300 back. But in terms of perspective, I invested well over $100,000 in learning marketing alone. I flew to live in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia for 2 years to learn from Vishen and Mindvalley, from the very best. I wrote emails, webinar scripts, sales pages for people like Asaraf, Bob Proctor, T. Harvecker, Christy Marie Sheldon, Lisa Nichols, many, many, many more. I've worked with people across every industry you can imagine, from mining here in Australia to legal and oil and gas and business and accounting and real estate. The thing is, this sells independent of what industry you are. It's based on a human persuasion. It doesn't matter whether you're selling to a lawyer or a consumer or someone in the middle. These principles work. So if you are inspired by the thought of learning how to do that, and the biggest benefit is that it could take you 10, 20 minutes to write an email and then you're done for the day. If you want that kind of business, you're done. You send an email out, provide value, get some cash money. And that's where I got to a few years ago. High 6-figure business, felt good. That might be the big dream for you. I mean, you might find, like me, that you achieve that and then you want to do more, you want to serve more, and that will be cool as well. But if you want a way to create passive income, provide value, and do work once, write the email, and then tens, dozens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people can see it. And you only have to do the work once. If you're inherently lazy like I am, that's a beautiful proposition. So yeah, there'll be a link, and you can go through the course over 5 weeks, and I'll teach you everything I've learned about creating these words that sell.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for the awesome special discount. And I had no idea that my tan was so influential. You know, I mean, there's that.
It's 98% the tan, Andy. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And as a reminder, everybody, yeah, that button is just right below this video right now. So go on and click through on that and take advantage of Carl's awesome offer. So thank you, sir. Thank you for all of your wisdom and energy and fun goofiness. I appreciate it, coming from another fun, goofy person. Are there any last insights or any last thing you want to share about, dive into before we hop off?
Yeah, you really can do it, like for real. If you have, I mean, the fact that you're here now suggests to me that you're open to the possibility that this could be something that you pursue. I genuinely believe that the consciousness of the planet is raising, and inherent in that is that we're going to move away from this kind of crazy matrix world where it's all about like consuming and wars and banking cartels and crazy dark nonsense. We here with a gift to share. and you really can create any kind of life you want. Problem is, for this game that humans are playing now, you do need cash money. Like, you can be broke and still be happy, but as the old saying goes, it costs tens of millions of dollars to keep Mother Teresa poor, which is basically saying, if you want to share a message with the world, if you want to travel, if you want to look after your family, if they get sick, or if you want to buy your brother a new car like I just did and be able to do things like that, look after mama, just took mama on a 3-week holiday, to do these things. If like me, you have a penchant for Louis stuff, or maybe you just want to build schools and do stuff like that, it's going to take some cash money. Now, for me, this is the gold rush of our age. The internet is still pretty much the Wild West. You are not behind now if you start now. The internet is only become available to more and more people. Zuckerberg and others are making sure of that. If you understand that having this sort of business is based on timeless abundance principles of giving, adding value, doing what you genuinely love to do, with my help, Andy's help, the awesome people that Andy's introducing you to, you're going to have a blueprint for doing that. All you need to do is believe and stick with it and understand this ain't a quick fix. You ain't going to get rich in a week. I mean, maybe you will. But the likelihood is, and I worked hard at this. I was committed. It took me 3 years to hit 6 figures. It took me another couple to hit 7. And it's only now 6 or 7 years in that I'm feeling, at peace and in my stride. I'm really feeling like I figured it out. But it was that 7-year adventure that was the most beautiful thing for me. I learned loads about myself, about how to help people, how to delight my customers, all the distinctions that only come through trial and error and practice. But what I would say is, you ain't got to be a genius to succeed at this. Even the software and the technology that is available now compared to when I started, it is like literally hundreds of times easier. I had to learn HTML and code and all of this stuff, and that ain't me. Nowadays, you can just point and click, and you've got beautiful tools like Webinar Jam and Aweber and others where you literally have this world-class technology for dollars a month. So in summary, you really can do it. Treat it as a long-term thing, like you're going to stick with it and you're not trying to delude yourself that I'll try it for a week and then otherwise Andy's scamming me if I'm not a millionaire. It's like, no, we ain't saying that. We're saying that you have to provide value. You have to do something awesome. And there are people, as Jim Rohn used to say, success leaves clues. There are people that can help you get there quicker. If you're committed and if you're excited and inspired by the idea of having a life where you help people and you have freedom and you work with amazing people, because in this industry, everyone's lovely. Because they're happy, because they're like, oh shit, we ain't got real jobs. We get to travel. If you stick with it, if you play with it, you're going to have an extraordinary life and be able to have the kind of impact that you want and get to reach thousands, millions of people around the world for pennies, faster and cheaper than it has ever been possible in the history of humanity. Which is why Andy here is on the beach all day getting her tan on, because she ain't got to be in an office. So stick with it, enjoy it, and enjoy the journey. Because if every obstacle or failure you get upset and shamed by, then you're going to take way longer. If you see it as a game where you're just learning the rules and that naturally there's going to be challenges and obstacles and you can learn from them, then you're going to be fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carl. I love it. And I love talking to you and getting to know you better. And again, your energy and your fun and your dancing and your, all that stuff.
It's the duty vibe. You've got to bring the good vibe to every day. That's the most important, because whether you're writing an email or doing a thing like this or whatever, people are going to feel the energy you're in. So you can't write an inspiring email if you're feeling depressed. Right. So another thing about this sort of business is it's going to encourage you to be a bigger person, to be more spiritual, to be more loving, because people are going to feel that. And you'll see the correlation when you're in a high mood to the amount of clients you get and the quality of clients you get. So it means, you take responsibility for that duty vibe. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Carl, have a great rest of your day over there. And thanks so much for doing this and playing with us. All right, everybody. Absolutely. And thanks for tuning in. It is go time, and let's build a fortune together.